The morning after Christmas broke white and brittle. The smoke from burnt tanks lay in thick sheets across the snow like a fog that refused to rise. We sat in silence, warming our hands around empty canteens, waiting for orders that didn't come. Every breath felt like breathing through glass. The radio finally sputtered to life mid-morning. Static at first, then a voice, clipped and steady. Enemy armor withdrawing from Sector Bravo. Repeat, withdrawing. Units are to maintain defensive posture and stand by for relief. Relief. The word rolled around our heads like a rumor no one dared believe. We'd heard it before, but still, something in that voice sounded different, confident. Alive. Guess Patton's boys made it, Benson said faintly, his voice raw. He tried to smile, but it came out thin. The cold had hollowed him out. We all looked the same. Frostburned skin, eyes sunk deep behind stubble, moving like old men long before our time. Later that day we got proof. Artillery fire began rolling from behind us, not the German kind, but ours, heavy and steady, pounding the valley below. The ground trembled. Out on the road, enemy columns were breaking apart, the last of them scattering back east under the barrage. We cheered, a dry, cracked sound that barely carried over the wind, but beneath it was relief, sharp and almost painful. After weeks of nothing but retreat and endurance, we were finally the side pushing back. Orders came to sweep the woods below the ridge. Cleanup operations, they called it. Nothing clean about it. We moved slowly, rifles ready, through trees shattered by artillery and blanketed with bodies half buried by snow. Some were ours, some weren't. The snow didn't care who it covered. We found a wrecked Jeep frozen into a ditch. The driver sat inside, head slumped against the wheel, rigid as ice, a letter still tucked in his coat pocket. I took it, meaning to give it to the medics later. The name on the envelope was Eddie. I didn't read the rest. Farther down the trail, a single German boy came out from behind a tree, hands raised, eyes wide. Couldn't have been more than 16. He had no weapon, no coat, just a threadbare uniform and frostbitten fingers. Benson lowered his rifle and motioned for him to come closer. The boy hesitated, looking at the barrels pointed his way, then stumbled forward. He said something in German that sounded like bitte. Please. Benson looked at me. Get Doc, he said softly. He's not going to last long in this cold. We gave the kid a blanket and what was left of our rations. He ate like an animal, trying to thank us through chattering teeth. For a moment, he was just that, a kid. Not an enemy, not a soldier. Just another human caught in a machine too big for any of us to stop. That night, the snow stopped falling. The sky cleared for the first time in weeks. The stars came out sharp as shards of glass, millions of them, stretching across the black like a map of somewhere better. We built a small fire, hidden behind a half-buried tank. Command had relaxed the blackout order now that the front was shifting east, and for once we let ourselves feel warmth without guilt. Benson held his hands toward the flames. You believe in luck? He asked. Not anymore. Me neither. He poked at the fire with a stick. Thing is, I used to think we made our own. You keep your head down, do the job, watch your buddies back, maybe you make it out. But after all this, he shook his head. I don't know. Feels like something else decides whether you keep breathing or not. I didn't answer. I just listened to the crackle of the wood. 2 nights later, we got word that the German offensive had officially stalled. Air support was back. The snow had finally lifted enough for the bombers to fly. Allied forces were pushing hard across the bulge, driving the enemy back toward the Rhine. We'd done it, or at least lived long enough for others to finish it. When the relief trucks finally rolled in, half the men on the line couldn't even stand. The medics made their rounds, checking frostbite, handing out rations, cigarettes, and downed bottles of bourbon that appeared from somewhere deep in supply packs. Someone broke into an old Christmas carol again, this time ours. It was off-key and slow, but nobody stopped singing. The next morning, they started pulling survivors off the ridge. It felt wrong to leave. The trench where I'd nearly frozen solid had become part of me. The woods, the silence, even the snow, they had all seeped into my bones. Walking away felt like leaving men behind, even the ones already buried under the ground. As we loaded onto the trucks, I looked once more down the slope toward the trees where we'd fought. Smoke still rose from the burned-out tanks. The scars cut deep through the snow, black lines in a sea of white. Benson climbed in beside me and settled his helmet down over his eyes. "So," he said, "guess we won." "Guess so. Doesn't feel like it. It never does," I said. We rode in silence for a while, the truck jolting down the icy road. Villages passed, ruins of brick and frost where windows should have been. Every house looked hollowed out, like it had given up waiting for anyone to come home. Eventually, the driver shouted over his shoulder, "Next stop, Liège! Hot food, warm beds." The words barely registered. None of us could imagine warmth anymore. Hours later, as the convoy climbed another bend, the snow began again, soft this time, almost gentle. I watched it swirl outside the flap and thought about how quiet the Ardennes had been before all this. Just trees, snow, and the hum of wind through the pines. That was the sound I'd remember. Not the guns, not the shouting, just that strange, endless quiet after the fight. Quiet meant you'd survived it, for now, at least.